The desert mountains stood tall in the distance, their rocky peaks glowing red beneath the rising sun. A quiet stillness covered the Israelite camp. Thin streams of smoke rose from morning fires, curling upward like soft ribbons against the pale sky. Camels groaned as they stood, shaking the sand from their coats, and the bleating of sheep echoed faintly across the valley. In the heart of the camp, a long line of people had already formed. Some leaned on walking sticks, others carried baskets, and many simply stood with weary faces. They were waiting for one man, Moses. From dawn until nightfall, Moses sat and listened. One by one, the people came forward with their troubles. "My neighbor moved the boundary of our tent," one said. "My brother and I argue over the goats," said another. And still others came with deeper questions. "What does the Lord want us to do?" Moses gave each person his full attention. He prayed, he listened, he judged fairly. His voice was patient, his heart kind. Yet as the sun climbed high and shadows grew short, his shoulders slumped and his strength waned. Still, the people kept coming. Far away, a small caravan approached, moving slowly across the desert plain. Camels carried bundles, and at the front rode an old man with wise eyes and a long white beard. It was Jethro, Moses' father-in-law. With him came Zipporah, Moses' wife, and their 2 sons, Gershom and Eleazar. When word reached Moses, he rose quickly and hurried out of the camp. His eyes shone with joy as he bowed before Jethro, then embraced him tightly. He kissed his wife's hands and lifted his children into his arms, pressing them close. Laughter filled the air as the family reunited, and the people of Israel looked on with gladness. That night, a fire burned brightly in front of Moses' tent. He sat with Jethro and told him everything God had done. How the Lord struck Egypt with mighty plagues, how the sea split in 2, how bread rained down from heaven and water poured from a rock. Jethro listened in awe, his eyes wide, his heart stirred. "Blessed be the Lord," Jethro declared, lifting his voice to the stars. "He has rescued his people with power and mercy. Now I know the Lord is greater than all other gods." The next morning, Jethro followed Moses to see his daily work. From sunrise onward, people came with their disputes, their questions, their fears. The line stretched long and moved slowly. Jethro watched as Moses listened patiently, hour after hour, his face growing tired, his back bending with weariness. By evening, when the last petitioner had left, Moses could barely stand. Jethro laid a gentle hand on his shoulder. "My son," he said softly, "what you are doing is not good." Moses looked at him with surprise. "Not good? But I must judge the people. They come to me to hear God's will." Jethro nodded. "Yes, and it is right that you teach them. But this work is too heavy for you alone. You will wear yourself out, and the people will grow frustrated waiting for you. You cannot carry this burden by yourself." Moses sighed deeply. He knew Jethro spoke the truth, yet he did not know another way. "Then what should I do?" he asked quietly. Jethro's eyes gleamed with wisdom. Teach the people God's laws. Show them the path of truth. But choose capable, trustworthy men who fear God and hate dishonesty. Appoint them as leaders over thousands, hundreds, 50s, and 10s. Let them handle the smaller disputes. Only the most difficult cases should be brought to you. In this way, your burden will be shared, and the people will find peace. Moses sat in silence, the firelight flickering on his thoughtful face. Slowly, his lips curved into a smile. "This is wise," Moses whispered. "This is good." The very next day, Moses called the people together. He told them the plan, and they rejoiced. Then he carefully chose leaders, men known for honesty, wisdom, and reverence for God. Some were placed over 10 families, others over 50, still others over hundreds and thousands. From that day on, justice came swiftly through the camp. Families no longer waited endlessly in line. Disputes were settled fairly and quickly. The people felt cared for, and Moses felt relief. He could now devote himself to prayer, to teaching, and to listening for God's voice without being crushed by every small concern. That evening, as the camp settled into quiet, Moses walked beside Jethro under a sky filled with stars. The desert wind was cool, and the silence wrapped around them like a blanket. "Thank you," Moses said, his voice low. "Your counsel has lifted a heavy weight from me." Jethro smiled gently. "It is God's wisdom, not mine. Remember, Moses, God never meant for you to carry every burden alone. He gives us one another, so the load may be shared." Moses lifted his eyes to the heavens, where countless stars glittered like jewels. He remembered the promise God had spoken long ago. "I will be with you." And he knew it was true. God was with him. In the plagues, in the sea.
In the plagues, in the sea, in the wilderness, and even in the wise advice of a father-in-law. When morning came, Jethro blessed Moses and the people. Then he returned to his own land, leaving behind a gift more precious than gold, the gift of wisdom. From that day forward, Moses no longer carried the weight of leadership alone. The people of Israel walked with greater order, peace, and hope, ready to continue their journey step by step toward the land God had promised. So, children, Moses learned he didn't have to do everything alone. God gave him helpers. And remember, God gives you help too, through people who love you. You are never alone. Sleep well tonight, safe in God's care.